Have you ever heard of the phrase, out of sight, out of mind? Usually we say that after we've forgotten something. But when it comes to living wisely, out of sight, out of mind, usually means that we really didn't focus on something long enough to let it take effect in our hearts and how we live. Join me today as we take a quick look at the Proverbs and learn how to guard our hearts through God's words of wisdom. Read with me Proverbs chapter 4, verse 20 through 23. My son, pay attention to what I say. Turn your ear to my words. Do not let them out of your sight. Keep them within your heart. For they are life to those who find them, and health to one's whole body. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Godly wisdom is essential to our spiritual and physical well-being. But how do we get wise? Well, first, we must apply ourselves to the task. We must pay attention to those in our lives that are speaking wisdom to us. Now, I'm not deaf or hard of hearing, but anytime someone begins to speak to me, but I turn away from them, it gets hard to hear what they are saying. I lose my concentration and my focus. I fail to take to heart or to mind anything that they just said. In verse 20 and 21, Solomon pleads with his son to take action and take possession of his wise words. Look at the action phrases used by Solomon. Pay attention, turn your ear, do not let them out, and keep them within. These action phrases are connected to four physical parts of us. The first thing is our minds. It is with our minds that we focus and pay attention. Next is our ears. With our ears, we hear and understand wise instructions. Third is our eyes. With our eyes, we witness godly examples of living wisely or living foolishly. And lastly, our hearts. Our hearts are the innermost part of our being. It's our soul, made up of our mind, our will, and our emotions. It's where our deepest and most strongly held convictions reside. And that is where God wants us to store up and treasure the wisdom that He gives us. Also, godly wisdom leads to life and health. Verse 23 says that words of wisdom are life to those that find them. If you have ever been bullied or been degraded, then you know what it is like to experience words of death. To be torn down and disrespected by the words of another person is like a death blow to the soul. But words of wisdom speak life to the deadest and darkest night of the soul. Words of wisdom can bring light and hope to the life that is suffering. Words of wisdom can bring such hope that even physical difficulties can begin to turn around in its light. Now finally, we need to be very careful what we let have access to our hearts. In verse 23, Solomon says, above all else, guard your hearts. Above all else means with every bit of diligence you can muster. It means with all the strength and ability that you have, guard your heart. But why is the heart so important? Remember, your heart is your very soul. It is who you are as a person. Solomon describes it this way: everything you do flows from it. Whatever you allow to have access to your heart can either make you or break you. So never let foolishness have access to your heart. Never think, act, or desire foolish things. Instead, fill your heart with wisdom. Don't let words of wisdom be out of sight, out of mind. Do as Solomon pleads. Pay attention, turn your ear, fix your eyes, and hold in your heart godly wisdom. It will bring you life and health for this life and the next.